A man named Nicky suffers from a type of muscular dystrophy. Nicky with his girlfriend Haley and their best friend Johnson in a car heading to California. The boys bid farewell to Haley, who moves to California to continue her studies. Before that, all three were classmates at MIT. They eat at restaurants and visit aquariums. And we also see Nicky running into a river that has been swept by a storm. Three people stay in a hotel for one night. Nicky can't sleep, and suddenly he receives a text message from an unknown hacker named Nomad. The hacker was Nomad. He has been sending messages to Nicky and Johnson for a long time, and previously hacked into an MIT server in their name and almost got them expelled. They are being chased by the anonymous hacker Nomad. The MIT server in their name had been hacked before, and now it sends them a live video of their exact location via a webcam. The trio is especially disturbed when they receive a photo of their car from the same hacker. Johnson tries to locate him, while Haley asks if Nicky mentioned anything about her moving in with him. Nicky stumbles and drops the coffee, so the two others rush to help him, and tensions rise further as their journey continues. He is embarrassed by his disability and is visibly sad when he steps away to get more coffee. The boys have found the Nomad hacker's website. They discovered that he was only 180 miles away from them. They decided to visit him on their way, but when they looked around they saw that Haley was missing. Nicky finds her sitting on a nearby cliff. The two finally talk about their relationship. Nicky doesn't want his disability to hold him back, so he wants to break up with her before she leaves. Haley tries to convince him that things will be okay. When he doesn't listen, she takes off the necklace he gave her as a gift and throws it away. The trio heads to the Nomad hacker's website. They stop at an abandoned house at night but are suspicious of the presence of the hacker Nomad in such a place, but the boys go in to check anyway. They look around with a flashlight but find nothing. Suddenly they hear Haley screaming outside and they run to her. When they get to the car, it's missing and the car radio is going crazy. The men started to panic and scream her name. At that moment, Nicky turned his flashlight in one direction to see Haley being lifted into the sky by a strange force. They rushed towards her in panic, calling her name, and then darkness suddenly descended on the screen. When Nicky woke up, he found himself in a hospital-like facility, wearing only a hospital gown, and his mind was foggy. A man wearing an astronaut-like outfit ushered him into a room and introduced himself as Dr. Wallace Damon. He begins recording their conversation and asks him about the first time he encountered this signal. Nicky has no idea what he's talking about, and then asks Damon about his friends and why he's here. Damon replies that Nicky and his friends have come into contact with an extraterrestrial organism. Nicky still doesn't know what he's talking about and demands to meet his friends or call his family. Damon stops Nicky from talking when he sees Nicky's nose bleeding badly. They take him back to the room where he was held before. The next day, the facility worker takes him to the same room again. On his way, he sees workers cleaning up a strange liquid on the floor of the facility. He then sees Haley lying in a room. He asks the worker to take him to her, but he does not agree. He takes him to Damon, who tells him that he can't meet Haley right now, and starts asking him a series of strange questions, like does he have 10 fingers and is he from Earth? He then asks him about the signals referring to the Nomad hacker's messages. Finally, he shows him a clip from the night they were at the Nomad hacker. It zooms in on an image of an alien in the background, which Nicky is surprised to see. To Damon's horror, he reveals that the hacker is Nomad. He wasn't just a hacker. After a while, Nicky returns to his room when he hears someone whispering to him. He looks around the room and discovers that the noise is coming from an air vent. It's Johnson, who is hiding from the workers to come talk to Nicky. He realizes that there is something seriously wrong with the people there and fears that they might be experimenting on them. The conversation ends suddenly. The next day, Nicky is with Damon again, who this time performs a shape and color test on him. Nicky resolves the test in one go and demands to see Haley. Damon agrees and takes him to the room where Haley lies unconscious. He claims that she is in a coma and promises that the moment she regains consciousness, he will be able to talk to her. From the next day, Nicky begins to make a plan to escape from the facility. He crushes the biscuits given to him as food and places them on the keypad to find out the password combination for the entry door. When he returns to his room, he puts his plan into action. He goes to pick up Haley and straps her bed to his wheelchair. Meanwhile, Damon goes to his room and finds drawings of the facility on his bed. They know about his plan. Nicky somehow manages to get Haley to the exit door, but can't reach the keyboard. Nicky tries as hard as he can and even uses a hospital tube to press the keys, but Damon catches him before he can. He wakes up next to a still unconscious Haley. While trying to break free from the guards, he falls out of bed. The men leave when they see him bleeding. Nicky is then horrified to see that his legs have been amputated and replaced with prosthetics made from alien technology. Damon, who was watching him through a one-way mirror, tells him that it's hard to explain. He then sends two workers to get Nicky, but his new legs have superhuman strength. Using it, Nicky sends the door flying. He pulls Haley with him as it looks like he can walk now. When he walks down the hall with her, Damon follows them and catches them at the elevator. He calmly explains to Nicky that he will only be able to help him inside the facility, and if he gets out, he is in trouble. Nicky ignores him and runs away with Haley. He ends up in a dark hallway and then in a sewer-like system. When he finally sees sunlight, he finds himself in a desert in the middle of nowhere. Haley finally wakes up and the two begin to walk away. After a while, they are happy to see a car approaching them and ask it to give them a ride. The driver is a confused old woman named Mirabella. Throughout the trip, she acts strangely, talking to little angels who claim to have been sent from God Almighty. You leave them at a gas station. Nicky comes in and tries to use a phone, but it doesn't work. He sees his face on the news on TV, but right after that, Nicky sees a red truck taking Haley away. Using his new legs, Nicky runs at the speed of a truck. Haley points a gun she found in the car at the man trying to kidnap her. The two throw the man out and drive his truck away. Meanwhile, Damon sets up a roadblock to search for the two and finds Mirabella. He asks her to come with him, and she agrees. Damon also holds a mysterious red bag in his hands. Damon interrogates her at the facility, but in a strange way. Mirabella's nose starts bleeding like Nicky did earlier. Damon takes a gun out of the bag and the screen goes black, suggesting that he shot and killed her. Nicky and Haley, on the other hand, reach a dead end and don't know where they are. When they return by car, they find an abandoned visitor center. They decide to stay there for a while. Inside, Nicky tries to use a phone, but it doesn't work either. Haley then finds a map of the place, but Nicky can't decipher where they are. Damon and his men continue their pursuit and find Haley's kidnapper at his home. He seems to have gone crazy and is talking about his family. She sits next to him when he's alone. He points his gun at Damon, but it doesn't work when he tries to shoot him. Damon shoots and kills the man, then covers him with a blanket and leaves. Meanwhile, Nicky and Haley hear a noise from downstairs and hide. After confronting a worker from the facility, the friends are surprised that it is Johnson himself, and he has also escaped. Later, Nicky notices a mark on Haley's back and suspects experiments on her as well, and Johnson tells him that they are. They will be in the Area 51. He reveals that his arms have turned into prosthetic limbs. The next day, they stop them at a roadblock and Johnson falls seriously injured and asks Nicky to run away with Haley. Johnson uses his arms to destroy a barrier and creates a shockwave through which the friends escape, while he sacrifices himself in front of the guards. The attack ends with Johnson's death while Nicky and Haley fall victim to Damon. Their truck was hit by spiked barriers and overturned, and the two emerged from it with severe injuries. Haley gives Nicky the necklace he thought she got rid of while she is being whisked away in a helicopter. After her departure, Nicky notices a badge with the name Damon and concludes that this name, when read backwards, becomes Nomad. Damon reveals the truth that he was the hacker Nomad all along, and he brought them here to test Technologia satellite on them. He then claims that his legs are an example of the perfect combination of human and space technology. Nicky gets angry upon realizing they were just experiments, and his legs start glowing red, and he runs away at supersonic speed. After a while, he collides with an invisible barrier that leads him to a larger outdoor facility. Damon approaches the hole he made in the wall. He takes off his suit to reveal a robotic head. It turns out that he and everyone else in the facility are a robotic alien species. Mirabella and the kidnapper were kidnapped humans driven mad into insanity because their brains did not sync with alien technology. Since they couldn't adapt to it, Damon had to kill them. When Nicky turns around, he sees that he is on a whole new planet. The desert was just a simulation to trick them into thinking they were still on Earth. We see that the planet is very developed with several skyscrapers and a parabolic solar shield at the top. Nicky is the only human there. His best friend died and his girlfriend was kidnapped from him. The film raises many philosophical questions about identity, free will, and control over destiny. Nick suffers from a loss of identity, not only in terms of losing control over his body, but also in discovering that the reality around him is not what he once believed. The message here is that identity can be something fluid, and in the face of the unknown, a person can redefine themselves in ways they never imagined. From the moment Nick is abducted, he becomes just a part of a larger experiment that he does not understand. Every decision he makes seems preordained, making him question whether he has any control over his life. Even in the final moment when he uncovers the truth, it turns out that everything was orchestrated from the beginning. The underlying idea is that freedom might be nothing more than an illusion, and that there may be forces controlling the course of our lives without us realizing it. Nick ultimately discovers that he was never on Earth at all, but rather on a massive spaceship, completely altering his perception of the world he thought he knew. This open-ended conclusion leaves the viewer questioning, are we living in a simulation? Are we merely being subjected to unknown forces? Has Nick become stronger because of his experience, or is he still just a lab rat? The film invites the audience to reflect on the nature of truth and reality and how humanity confronts forces far greater than itself. Finally, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and activate the bell button to receive all that is new.